All right, everyone, I believe we are live. Welcome back to the show. It is a lovely Friday evening. It is August 22nd. Folks, let me make sure all of my settings are correct here. I think we're good. Welcome back to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have one hell of a show. You see, today we have some massive news coming out of Canada, really the United States relationship with Canada. As it would seem, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has effectively thrown in the towel, so to speak. And so we're going to break the entire Canadian situation down. Beyond that, we also just hours ago, all of this is news breaking today, but really just like 90 minutes ago or 2 hours ago, we just got an absolutely bombshell report confirming just how well President Trump's tariffs are doing, really just how well President Trump's entire economic policy is doing. And it seems like for the first time in decades, I don't want to speak too soon here, but it does seem like for the first time in decades, we actually have a plan, a path forward with which we can start paying off our just egregious amount of national debt. We have maybe 36 or 37 trillion dollars worth of national debt. Our national deficit, the rate at which we are going into more debt, it's like 1.6 trillion dollars per year. It's just insane. But we have a new report indicating, confirming that we actually are going to be able to start digging ourselves out of this. So first, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get into this. Let's start talking about this whole situation with Canada, Mark Carney. But first, I do want to say real quick, if you guys are new to the show, please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to like today's broadcast. We are live on Rumble, Matt Morris TV. We are live on YouTube, Matt Morris TV. We're on X, Matt Morris TV. Everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Let's get into this. Let's start breaking down the news. This is really breaking news. The definition of, ladies and gentlemen, Canada raises the white flag on their tariffs, reciprocal tariffs, as they are calling them. They're not really. They have dropped all of their tariffs on American goods. This is hot off the press just a couple hours ago. Mark Carney, Canada's prime minister, has completely caved. He has completely capitulated to President Trump's economic policies. I have to say, I really do feel bad for the good, conservative, based Canadians. I really do, because I know a lot of you guys up there in Canada say, hey, what's up? If you're a Canadian, a lot of you guys are living under the thumb of Mark Carney and Canada's progressive leadership, and I know you guys are not happy. Specifically, the Albertans, a lot of you guys, Mark Carney is just screwing over your country. Now, let's do a little bit of a recap here. When President Trump took office again in January of 2025, President Trump made a very basic request to Mark Carney, to the country of Canada. He said, hey, listen, we have this massive shared border, the US-Canada border. Could you folks, Mark Carney, could you please do me a favor and help us secure the border, help us lock down the border? Now, that would have cost Canada, it would have cost Mark Carney around $1 billion. That's the best estimate that I can find. It would have cost Canada about $1 billion to help secure our shared border. For a little bit of a perspective here, the US, every single year down here in the United States, we spend about $5 billion securing, to the best of our ability, our northern border. We spend a lot more than that on our southern border, but listen, the northern border is a problem as well. There is human trafficking, there's illegal immigration, there's all types of terrible, undesirable people coming across the border. There's fentanyl, a lot of fentanyl coming over from China through Canada into the United States. So President Trump issued this very basic request. Hey, listen, you are our northern neighbor. Can you please help us spend $1 billion a year to lock down the border? We already spend $5 billion. Mark Carney, who recently had just gotten into office, he recently became the Prime Minister of Canada. He said, no. Mark Carney refused to meet President Trump's request to help secure our shared border, their southern border, our northern border. And so this is why President Trump decided to impose his initial round of reciprocal trade tariffs on Canadian goods, on products made in Canada, which, by the way, President Trump's reciprocal tariffs, they have a value of around $35 billion per year. So let's do the math here. Is $35 billion more than $1 billion? Yes, it is. In fact, it's about 35 times more. And so the request, to be very clear, once again, was, listen, Mark Carney, can you spend $1 billion to help secure our border? It's going to be good for both of us. He said, no, he didn't want to work with Trump in that regard. And so Trump said, all right, we're going to tariff $35 billion worth of your products. And also, by the way, this word reciprocal is very important, because up until President Trump imposed these reciprocal trade tariffs, $35 billion, to the tune of $35 billion, Canada had already had their own tariffs on us. We didn't really have any tariffs on them. And so all Trump did was say, all right, listen, we're going to go point for point with you guys. We're going to impose keyword reciprocal tariffs. Now, in response to these reciprocal tariffs, and they were reciprocal indeed, and also highly justified given the circumstances here, Mark Carney pretty much melted down. He decided to impose around $20 billion worth of new tariffs. He imposed $20 billion worth of new tariffs on products made in America. I'm flipping on my headset right here. And he also went on to say that Canada's economic relationship with the United States of America is pretty much done. It's pretty much over. He was pissed. And so I want to play for you guys a clip of Mark Carney. This is what he had to say about this situation as it unfolded back in April. What is that? 4 months ago. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark Carney a couple months ago.
The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over.
It's over.
Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over.
It's over.
The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over.
It's over.
Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality. We must respond with both purpose and force. We are a free, sovereign, and ambitious country. We are masters in our own home.
And so, folks, this clip here, keep this in mind. The reason why this entire situation took place in the first place is because President Trump, upon getting into the White House in January of 2025, made the very basic, very humble request, Canada, can you help us secure our shared border? We're having some border problems. The request was $1 billion. We down here in the U.S., we already spend $5 billion to try to secure that border. He said no. And so then this entire situation got kicked off. Now, obviously, this was 4 months ago. This move has ended up being completely moronic. I think we all could have predicted the way that this was going to go. And as we all now know, Canada actually needs the American economy much more than America, the United States of America, needs the Canadian economy. So Canada has pretty much been the loser of this entire reciprocal tariff dynamic over the last 4 or 5 months. Carney imposed his trade tariffs in March. This statement is from April. So really, it's been about 5 months since Mark Carney. I don't even want to say Canada because really there are so many good Canadians. And if I say Canada, I feel like I'm lumping all of you in. It's Mark Carney and the far left radical progressives. Mark Carney is about as globalistically inclined as you can be. We all know Mark Carney has very shady connections with China and the CCP. Hashtag not all Canada. Oh, that's on my computer. Hashtag not all Canadians. Okay, some Canadians are good. There's a lot of good Canadians, but man, Mark Carney, he is just a real dolt. And so what happened in the last 5 months since Mark Carney decided to impose these tariffs out of a petulant rage, what happened was that President Trump has just sort of continued doing his thing around the world. In the last 4, 5, 6 months, he's been able to negotiate trillions with a T of dollars worth of new trade deals all over the world. Meanwhile, the Canadian economy has pretty much just imploded. In fact, this is a report from earlier this month. Earlier this month, in early August, Canada, they got their jobs report. They lost almost 41,000 jobs in July alone. Their economy has been bleeding out. They've been catastrophically suffering because of all of this. And Canada, many experts agree, Canada has actually entered a recession as of the middle of July, as of July. So Canada has really been suffering as a consequence of all this. Meanwhile, the United States of America, we're back. We're so back. We're so incredibly back. In fact, I think you can say, while President Trump has ushered the United States of America into what he's calling his golden age, we're in Trump's golden age right now, as we keep hearing. Under Mark Carney's leadership, Canada has effectively entered a dark age. So in the U.S. golden age and Canada dark age, really because of who's the guy to blame, it's Mark Carney and his incompetent leadership. Now, perhaps what is the most embarrassing component of all of this for Mark Carney specifically was just 2 days ago. This happened just 2 days ago. You're looking at it right now. When all of the senior ranking European Union and NATO leaders flew all the way down to Washington, D.C., some of them across the Atlantic from all over the place. All 7 of them, in fact, showed up in Washington, D.C. at our nation's capital to help negotiate a new peace deal for Ukraine. Guess who wasn't there? Who do you not see at this meeting? You've got France, you've got Germany, you've got European Union, you've got Italy, you've got Finland, you've got Ukraine, you've got NATO Secretary General Rutte. You don't see Canada, you don't see Mark Carney. Listen, as many of you know, a little bit of a history lesson here. Canada is actually a founding member of NATO. It's one of the earliest members of NATO, going all the way back to 1949. Canada is an OG, a founding member of NATO. And also, as you might have noticed if you've ever looked at a map, Canada is pretty much on Russia's doorstep. Canada is very geographically close to Russia. Mark Carney is not here. The Prime Minister of Canada is not here. He was not invited. And the reason why is because ever since taking office, Mark Carney took office earlier this year, he became the new Prime Minister of Canada. He has pretty much just led his country into complete and total ruin. He's got no sway or clout on the global level. It's like, listen, who really cares what Mark Carney has to say about Ukraine-Russia negotiations? And by the way, this meeting is a big deal. The fact that Carney was not at this meeting is a massive deal. This is perhaps one of the most important geopolitical summits in recent history. I'm not going to say in all of history, but in recent history, this meeting was a big monumental deal. Carney was not there. He was not invited. And so, folks, this is where we get to today's big news. Double back to the headline of the day. Canada raises the white flag on tariffs, and they drop all of their tariffs on the United States. So we're going to take a listen to what Mark Carney actually had to say this morning. Mark Carney said this morning. Take a look.
So let's be absolutely clear. Canada currently has the best trade deal with the United States. And while it's different from what we had before, it is still better than that of any other country. So as we work to address outstanding trade issues with the United States, it's important, it's vital. We do everything we can to preserve this unique advantage for Canadian workers, Canadian businesses. And doing so will require both building on a soon-to-be revised CUSMA, our free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico, as well as developing a new form of trade and security partnership with the United States. In this context, and consistent with Canada's commitment to CUSMA, I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA.
So, how can I say this? The word that comes to mind is copium. This is a word that a lot of younger people use. I'm not sure if some of you older members of the audience are familiar with this word copium. Cope. He is coping. He is saying, listen, yes, we are dropping all of our tariffs on America, but still we have one of the best deals ever, the best deals of all time. You know, this is a unique opportunity for Canadians. Listen, let's cut the shit, Mark Carney. You thought you were a big guy. You thought you were top dog here. You tried to come out of left field and smack a bunch of tariffs on the United States, and you got hung out to dry. Okay, you realize just how irrelevant and unimportant you were. And so now, in an attempt to be reintegrated back into the fold here, to get some global relevance again, now he's dropping his tariffs. That's what's happening here. And, you know, frankly, this is a smart, this is the smartest thing he could have done. It is kind of embarrassing for him. He tried to do something. It didn't work out. He thought he was a tougher guy than he actually was. Given the circumstances, what he just did today, what you just watched, actually is the smartest decision he could have made, is to say, you know what? It didn't work out. I tried. I failed. And I'm dropping the tariffs now. Maybe we can turn a new leaf here. Maybe bygones can be bygones. Well, guess what? President Trump actually weighed in on this earlier this morning. President Trump gave his thoughts. So take a listen to this, then we're going to keep on breaking this down.
A very good call with Prime Minister Carney of Canada yesterday morning.
Yes.
Actually, Canada is taking away some retaliatory tariffs.
He's removing his tariffs, yeah.
Exactly.
He's removing his retaliatory tariffs, which I thought was nice. And we're going to have another call soon.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a very good call.
You're getting closer towards an
Well, I like
agreement on
him.
trade?
I like him. You know, look, I'm fighting for the United States. Canada and Mexico have taken a lot of our business over the years, over 25, 30 years, especially during the Biden years. They took a lot of our business, and it's basically all coming back into the United States now. Well, hot as a pistol, and it's coming back in. Because of tariffs and the incentives we give, it's coming back. And it's impossible, I think, for another country to stop it. And we are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good person. And we had a very good talk yesterday. So I think it'll be good.
So, you know, despite what all of the unhinged far left radical progressives, the left wing media has to say, President Trump is not an evil, cruel, or vindictive person. It's pretty much like, hey, listen, Mark Carney made a dumb mistake. He made a very bad decision. He made a very stupid mistake that has cost his country a lot of money, a lot of jobs. And seems like Canada is actively in a recession right now. So it has been a catastrophic mistake. But now, as of this morning, he has attempted to rectify that mistake. He had a phone call with President Trump, and President Trump said, okay, you know what? You dropped your tariffs. Let's go ahead and move on with the relationship. All right. Okay, you know what? Maybe going forward, you know, maybe we're not going to be the best of friends, but you know what? Listen, hey, you're our northern neighbor. You know, we've got a world to save. Let's just keep on moving on. Okay, whatever. Maybe bygones to a certain extent can be bygones here. Now, it is important to remember that, and I see this super chat here in the YouTube chat. By the way, guys, real quick, we're live on Rumble right now. Matt Morse TV on Rumble and Matt Morse TV on YouTube. We are all over the place. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Hit that follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on today's broadcast. Now, this is a super chat from Gaming Merv, $10. Thank you very much. He says, this guy got elected on the promise of fighting Trump. What a funny little man Carney is. You know, I gotta say, perhaps there are no bigger losers than progressive Canadians, because you're totally right. Carney ran on a campaign of screw Donald Trump. I'm going to be the tough guy. I'm going to be the one tough guy against Donald Trump. Carney was voted into office because he promised all of these Trump derangement syndrome Canadian liberals that he was going to, you know, put Trump back in his place. And now Carney has capitulated time and time and time again to President Trump. And President Trump is treating him like his stupid little brother. He's like, oh, there's my little brother. He's so stupid, whatever. What can you do? It's almost kind of embarrassing. Like Trump has never even been mad or upset or rude with Mark Carney. Trump just treats him like his stupid little brother, which is almost even more embarrassing than anything else for Mark Carney. It's almost like Trump doesn't even really take him seriously. It is just embarrassing. But anyway, so we're moving forward. And I have to say, frankly, this is what leadership looks like. Carney is an idiot. Carney is an idiot. He is an idiot. He is an idiot. And now I think both left-leaning Canadians and right-leaning Canadians understand Carney is just an idiot. He's been in office for less than a year, and he has navigated Canada, which was otherwise historically a very prosperous country, into just being complete and total state of turmoil. And so now he's dropped his tariffs. But there was something else that I want to talk to you guys about today. Like I said, we have another big piece of news that I think is worth talking about today. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this bombshell report that came out just like 2 or 3 hours ago at this point. Isaac H., he says, do not bet against the U.S., hey, especially if President Trump is in office. And also good to see you again. Thank you very much for that super chat. Take a look at this. This is a report that hit the press, hit the public a couple hours ago. Tariffs will reduce our nation's deficit by $4 trillion. Now, I'm sure you see a headline like this and you're saying, okay, hold up. That's a big number. Where is this data coming from? Can we trust this number? $4 trillion, really? This information, this number is coming from the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, which is a left-leaning entity. Take a look at this. And also, this is an entity, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, that has actually been throwing shade at Trump. They've been criticizing Trump for months now, saying that his tariff policy, his entire economic policy is not going to work. It's going to lead the American economy into a recession or, God forbid, a depression. The CBO has been trying to, undermine everything Trump has been doing for a very long time. Well, let's see what their new report has to say that came out just hours ago. The Congressional Budget Office projected today that President Trump's tariff agenda, if maintained, would decrease total deficits by up to $4 trillion over the next decade. The CBO, Congress's nonpartisan scorekeeper, released it is partisan. It is, by the way, a left wing. Okay, it is partisan to the left. The CBO, Congress's nonpartisan scorekeeper, released the updated projections on Friday. That's today. The CBO found that the effective tariff rate for goods imported into the United States has increased by a notable 18 percentage points from last year. If this stance is maintained for the next 10 years, primary deficits would fall by $3.3 trillion. The CBO had to say. The tariff revenue would also minimize the need for federal borrowing and would result in $700 billion less spending on interest, driving total deficits down by $4 trillion. And this is, of course, over the next 4 years. And so, folks, I'm trying to find where we are here. Right now, our deficit, like I said earlier on in today's broadcast, is around $1.6 trillion. $1.6 trillion is our current deficit. So if over the next 4 years, if over the next 10 years, we can reduce our deficit by $4 trillion, you know what that means? That means that we are going to have a surplus. We will no longer have a deficit. We will have a multi-trillion-dollar surplus if things continue in the trajectory and the path that they are, moving along right now. And so President Trump actually released a Truth Social post about this once this news broke. President Trump himself had to say, I am pleased to announce that the radical left representatives working at the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, have now admitted how incredible my tariff strategy has been, saying that, quote, Trump's tariffs reduced the deficit by $4 trillion. When I began my tariff policy suggestions, they refused to acknowledge the potential success that would be derived. Deficits are down. Taxes are down. Energy is down. Price of energy. Prices generally are down. As you know, he doesn't say this, but I'm saying this. Job creation is through the roof. Job creation is, also this is private sector domestic job creation. That's worth noting. The only thing that are up are take-home pay. Take-home pay is up. The stock market is up, and our country, which is the hottest anywhere in the world. Thank you for your attention to this matter, he has to say. Now, I see a big super chat here from Greg Adamite. We'll see if this is related here. He says, Prime Minister Carney and Attorney General Letitia James from NYC, both campaigns were to fight President Trump. Oops, that worked out well for both of them. Backfired. Did you do the same super chat again 2 times in a row? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, listen, we said this a moment ago. Adamite, thank you very much. Listen, you bet against President Trump and it's not going to go well. Bet against the United States, more importantly, and it's not going to go well. It is just insane. I mean, we need to take note of this. When Trump got into the White House, he's totally right. We were talking about tariff policy, his economic policy, unleash American energy. Is going to bring in foreign investments to revitalize American manufacturing. And that's exactly what he's done. He's been able to negotiate trillions, like $9 or more trillion worth of foreign investments to reinvigorate the American domestic manufacturing sector, to repatriate, redomesticate American manufacturing. The money is pouring in. Job creation is through the roof. We've seen that with month after month of these monthly job reports. And we also know that tariff revenue is also just skyrocketing. I want to show you this image here. This is just from about a week ago. This is absolutely insane. U.S. tariff revenue surged up 300% in July of 2025, bringing in a record $29.6 billion in 1 month. Greg, thank you again. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. 300% increase, $29.6 billion in 1 month. It's also worth noting, we were being told by all of these liberal economic, professors and experts, economists, everybody on MSNBC and CNN, they were saying, well, really, a tariff is nothing more than a tax on the consumer. Really? Is that right? Is that right? Because we are about, 5 months into this now? And we've had just so many American CEOs, the CEO of Amazon, the CEO of Home Depot, the CEO of Walmart, of Home Depot, of Nvidia. Amazon really is the biggest one that came out about a month and a half ago. And he said, listen, yeah, Trump's tariffs have been in effect now for a couple months. And in Amazon, we actually are not really seeing any increase in consumer prices. What does that mean? Consumers are not paying extra for their goods. What does that mean? This is not a tax on American consumers. As it would turn out, who's actually paying the price of these tariffs? It's the foreign countries. That's who's paying it. It is a tax on these foreign countries, and they are paying it. Why? Why can we get away with this? It's because America has the wealthiest and largest consumer market in the country. Imagine America as being the hottest, most popular club in town on a Friday or Saturday night, and you have all these people that want to get in the club and want to come in the club and have fun. Listen, if you want to get in the club, if you want to get into Club America, you got to pay the entry fee. You got to pay to get into the club. And so that is what is happening here. And the other countries, they're realizing, yeah, it is better to pay the entrance fee, the tariff, than it is to not get in the club at all, so to speak. Okay, they want to do business. We have money to spend, and they want to sell their goods, countries from all over the world. Tariff revenue, $29 billion. Now, if we're talking about reducing our national deficit, and also finally, for the first time in decades, in generations perhaps, paying off our national debt, take a look at this. This is a headline I want to touch base on. This is in July. Treasury posts unexpected surplus in June as tariff receipts surge. So listen, let's break this down. What happened here? In the month of June, we actually had a budget surplus of $27 billion, which was our first budget surplus since 2017. What does that mean? That means 2 months ago now, in the month of June, we didn't even have a deficit. Our federal government didn't even have a deficit. We had a surplus. We made money. We made $27 billion. This is this is what you need to see if you actually want to pay off the national debt and eliminate the deficit. Okay? And by the way, like I said, we have not had a monthly budget surplus since 2017. As a reminder, who was president in 2017? Who was that guy again? I forget his name. Oh yeah, it was Donald Trump. It was Donald Trump. Okay, so it's not exactly a coincidence. This is a random coincidence. There's a reason why this is happening. Trump's economic policies, time and time again, are being vindicated and proven true. Now, speaking about this, reducing the deficit, eliminating the deficit, building out a surplus, which then we can also pay off our national debt. We've got, 36 or $37 trillion worth of debt. I want to take a listen to this clip from 3 days ago in which Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talks about all of this. Short clip. Take a look at this.
President Trump and I are laser focused on paying down the debt. So I had been saying that tariff revenue could be $300 billion this year. I'm going to have to revise that up substantially. So I think that we're going to bring down the deficit to GDP. We'll start paying down debt. And then at a point that can be used as an offset to the American people.
There you go. And there you go. And so, by the way, when he says offset to the American people, he's hearkening back to this idea that they first brought up a couple months ago, where they said, listen, we are generating so much money from these tariffs. Really, an incredible amount of money is being generated by President Trump's tariffs here. And by the way, listen, before I continue this thought, I just need to say, these tariffs are not coming out of left field. President Trump's tariffs are reciprocal. We've done the math. We know this is the case. President Trump is not like abusing other countries. He's not targeting a country that never has tariffed us and then Trump is throwing tariffs on them. No, that's not the case. President Trump is putting reciprocal, in fact, oftentimes less than reciprocal tariffs on other countries that have been tariffing U.S. goods and U.S. products for decades now. So President Trump is not some, global economic predator that is looking to brutalize and take advantage of other countries. These other countries, they have been tariffing us for a very long time, in a way taking advantage of us for a very long time. And now President Trump is leveling the playing field. And like I said, to be honest, oftentimes he's not even going that far. If President Trump was to go tit for tat on all these countries, he would actually bankrupt them. He would ruin their economies. So he's not even going tit for tat. Okay. He's just saying, listen, hey, little slap on the wrist. Let's at least be a little bit reciprocal here, because we are done getting taken advantage of. If you want to talk about global economic predators, we're talking about countries like China. Okay. Big time global economic predator. And now, like Steve Bessent has said, he said, I like this keyword. He said, laser focused. And so I'll tell you what, it actually seems like now, because of the economic policy here, we actually have a chance at paying off our national debt for the first time in decades. Not just reducing the deficit, but actually building out a budget surplus. Could you imagine America as a country with a budget surplus? We are no longer going deeper in debt. Now we are generating money. And now we are actually paying our way out of debt. And I have to tell you, I take this personally. In fact, I think everybody should take this personally. I've got kids. Give me a 1 in the chat if you have children. If we don't solve a lot of these problems now, national debt, deficit, immigration stuff, really everything, housing crisis, job market, if all of the problems that we have, you name it, we've got a lot of them. If we don't solve these problems now, we are condemning a future generation of Americans to solve them for us. If we don't step up and bite the bullet and grit our teeth and say, listen, the buck stops here. We are done kicking this can down the road. We're done, replacing actual real American citizens with a bunch of third world illegal aliens. We are done spending more money than we have. We are done sending this country into crippling debt. We are done destroying the American economy. We are done screwing over the housing market. We are done shipping jobs, American jobs overseas, etc. All of these problems, if we don't solve these problems now, then some other generation of Americans, they're going to have to do it because we weren't man enough to do it ourselves. Okay? And so let's do it. Let's do it. Let's fix these problems. We have a once in a lifetime chance. We can do it. We've got Trump in the White House. We got to do it now. And, you know, maybe the best way, this is kind of the recap here. If we can summarize President Trump's economic approach, this is probably the best way to do it, right? President Trump's approach is to, yes, cut back on expenses, cut things out, cut the waste and fraud and abuse like USAID. We're not going to be sending money overseas. Stop spending money on foreign wars and foreign aid. Listen, we have Americans in the country that need aid. We shouldn't be sending money to a bunch of, Africans living in Nigeria to take care of them. Who the hell are they? We've got Americans living on the street here. Okay, so stop sending money overseas, take care of Americans, clean our own house first. So cut back on the waste, the fraud, and abuse. We're cutting out, Trump has already cut out tens of thousands of unnecessary federal jobs. As it would turn out, we had just tens of thousands of federal employees that were effectively doing nothing. They were going to work or sometimes even not going to work, collecting paychecks. So anyway, we're cutting out the waste and the fraud and abuse. We're cutting off illegal aliens from entitlement, from taxpayer-funded benefits like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Guys, we were spending $50 to $100 billion a year on taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens. Like, I'm not kidding you. These are the numbers. It was nuts. Medicare, Medicaid. You had illegal aliens that were showing up in the country and collecting Social Security payments. They'd been in the country for a month. They're getting Medicaid. Okay, and you're paying for it. I'm paying for it. So we're cutting that stuff off. But also, more than just cutting out the fraud and the waste and abuse, President Trump said, listen, we're just going to unleash the American economy. We are going to outgrow the debt. Yeah, we're going to cut out the waste and the fraud and the abuse, the corruption, but let's just crank up the U.S. economy. Pretty much, let's just start making more money. Okay, this is Trump's approach. And so if we can make sort of like a household personal analogy here, imagine on a personal household level, you are in some personal debt. Maybe you're $100,000 in debt. That's a lot of debt. Sure, yes, you can penny pinch. You can start couponing. You can stop spending money on useless things you don't need to really be spending money on, like Uber Eats or whatever other stupid stuff you spend money on. So you can penny pinch, yeah, but also, wouldn't it be better just to get a new job that pays 2 times more or 3 times more or 10 times more? It's like, yeah, you can penny pinch, you can save a couple $100s a month, cutting things out of the budget. But also, you can, if you have the option, just make 10 times more money. That's really the best way to get out of debt. Hello, duh, just make more money. And so that is effectively what President Trump's economic policy is. Yes, cut out the waste. Yes, cut out the fraud, but crank up the American economy, unleash American energy, impose reciprocal trade tariffs, etc. Court a bunch of foreign investments to rekindle the American domestic manufacturing sector, create American jobs, rev up the American economy, make more money as a country. And it's working, and it's working beautifully. I want to take a look at some super chats here. We have a $5 super chat here from Adam Freeman. He says, Prime Minister Dark Carnage thought he could bully Trump and America. Instead, he sacrificed Canada and and the economy just become another F around and find out America is back. I think Carney, to a certain degree, was suffering from a little bit of TDS, and now he has been kind of smacked back to reality. Do you agree? Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. This is from Super Neil Circus Super Chat. He says, nobody talks about the World Economic Forum, who has been destroying country for decades. Keep up the great work. Matt, I think a lot of people talk about the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum, yeah, they're pushing all of these globalist economic policies. In fact, the World Economic Forum has been one of the key entities that has been pushing for open border policies in Canada and the European Union and here in America. Okay? Listen, America, I'm about to say something incredibly controversial. If we have any globalists in the chat, I'm going to piss them off. Whatever, I don't care. America is not simply an economic zone. America is about more than just GDP and making money. And also Americans, the American people, they are not interchangeable with any other person on the face of the planet. Americans are a unique special history with a shared common ancestry, with a shared lineage and culture and set of values. and national belonging. We are a unique people. We are a unique country. We do not want to be replaced by a bunch of third world illegal alien, culturally incompatible immigrants. Listen, if you're from a country that eats dogs or eats humans, God forbid, like if you're from Haiti, we know the type of stuff that goes on. Sorry, listen, you're not going to fit in. We do not want you. If you're from a country, if you think that the best way to operate things is under Sharia law, we don't want you. You're not going to fit in. Okay? We have a culture. We are a people. We have a shared history. America is more than just a rootless economic zone. We are more than a place to make money. We are more than a GDP. We are a people. We are a culture. We are a collective. We are Americans. We are special. We are unique. And so maybe that's a good place to leave this off. President Trump is really day by day fixing the American economy. Other countries, day by day, are sort of coming to heel. Canada has just capitulated. Mark Carney has caved. He tried to act tough. That didn't go the way he wanted, and now he's caved. And you know, we've seen country after country around the world kind of learn the same lesson. Maybe a lot of them were hesitant to make a deal with Trump when he first got into office, but they found out real fast. You said F around, find out. A lot of countries effed around, and they are finding out. And so Canada really was one of these last holdout countries. Most other countries have already come to terms with what's going on here. And like I said, Trump is not abusing or taking advantage or brutalizing these other countries. It's just like, listen, hey, we need to have some parity. We got to have some economic parity here. And that is exactly what we are getting. And that is what it's going to take to finally make America great again and put America first. So, folks, that is going to be a wrap for this afternoon's broadcast. I want to say thank you all very much for tuning in today. Thank you very much. We are live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube. Matt Morse TV over here, Matt Morse TV over there. Please do me a favor. Make sure to like today's broadcast. Make sure to subscribe to both of the broadcasts here and follow me on X. We are Matt Morse TV on X. Thank you, everyone, very much. Everybody have a great Friday night. Have a great Saturday morning. I will see you all tomorrow for our Saturday broadcast. And once again, God bless everybody here for tuning in. Thank you guys very much. God bless you, your family, and the country. And also shout out the good Canadians. Shout out the good conservative-based Canadians that have had enough of Mark Carney. I imagine they are pissed off with this guy's incompetent leadership. I can only imagine. So shout out the good Canadians. But I'm gonna be out of here for the night. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Once again, I'll see you guys tomorrow.